Welcome back, my inquisitive listeners. My name is Willow Jones, and welcome to The Unforgotten, a podcast shining light on those whom you may not know much about. I want to start off by posing you with a simple question. Who was the first woman to stay seated on a segregated bus? If you said Rosa Parks, then you are absolutely wrong. Although Rosa Parks was an amazing and inspiring African American activist for civil rights during the 1950s, she indeed was not the first. This podcast is about Claudette Colvin, the original woman who refused to give her seat on a segregated bus in Alabama. Today, I hope you gain insight on activists who is not really known, but inspired a movement that will forever have a lasting impact on society and especially the African American community. This is the story of Claudette Colvin. Claudette Colvin was born September 5, 1939 in Montgomery, Alabama to Mary Ann and C.P. Colvin. Colvin grew up in one of Montgomery's poorer and racially divided neighborhoods, but that did not stop her from being a bright child. She attended Booker T. Washington School, a segregated school for African Americans. There, she studied hard and received exemplary grades. She soon became a member of the NAACP Youth Council, or National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. The NAACP is a civil rights organization formed in the United States in 1909 to advance justice for African Americans. As a child growing up during the 1940s and 50s, which was a period in time when racial segregation was advancing due to Jim Crow laws that were meant to marginalize African Americans by denying them the right to vote, hold jobs, get an education, or other opportunities, Colvin experienced racial discrimination quite often. One account was when she was shopping with her mother and a group of white children came into the store and demanded that Colvin touch hands with them in order to compare the complexion of their skin to hers. Colvin did so and was reprimanded by her mother, who said that she was not allowed to touch white people. Even in the face of adversity, Colvin persevered and longed to become president of a society that was fair and equal for all persons. On March 2, 1955, Colvin, who was only 15 years old at the time, was riding home from school on a Montgomery city bus when the bus driver told her to give up her seat to a white passenger. Colvin was sitting well behind the reserved seating for white individuals in the Negro section. She refused to give up her seat, saying, "It's my constitutional right to sit here as much as that lady. I pay my fare." After her refusal, Colvin was arrested on several charges, including violating the city's segregation laws. Colvin sat in jail for many hours, completely terrified. She was eventually bailed out of jail by her minister, her church, and returned home to her family. Colvin's case did not just end there. This was only the beginning of a movement that was soon to come. The NAACP wanted to use Colvin's case to challenge the segregation laws, but decided not to because she was only 15 years old at the time, and Colvin had also become pregnant with her first son, who was born later in 1956. In court, Colvin declared herself not guilty of violating the segregation laws, but the court ruled against her and put her on probation. Despite her light sentence, Colvin could not escape the thoughts of the public's opinion of being called a troublemaker, which ultimately led to her having to drop out of college and made it impossible for her to find a job to support her family. Colvin's personal challenges, however, did not stop her in any way. Colvin became one of the 4 plaintiffs in the Browder v. Gale case, a case challenging the state of Alabama statutes and city ordinances requiring segregation on Montgomery buses. The decision of the 1956 case ruled that Montgomery's segregated bus system was indeed unconstitutional. Colvin's success played an outstanding and effective role in many African Americans' lives. 2 years later, Colvin moved to New York City, where she had her second son, and worked as a nurse's aide at a Manhattan nursing home where she retired from in 2004. Before today, you may not have heard of Claudette Colvin's actions because of Rosa Parks, another inspiring African American activist that refused to give her seat to a white passenger 9 months after Colvin refused. But some people have tried to change that. People such as Rita Dove, who wrote the poem Claudette Colvin Goes to Work, which later became a song, and author Philip Hughes, who wrote about her in his young adult biography, Claudette Colvin, Twice Towards Justice, have took efforts to popularize Colvin's story. While her role in the fight to end segregation in Montgomery may not be widely recognized, Colvin helped advance civil rights efforts in the city. Claudette Colvin helped spark a movement that will forever impact many lives, even yours. Today, I hope you gained some knowledge on a woman who did not receive much acknowledgement for the great things she did. Thank you for listening, and tune in later to learn more about some amazing and inspiring people in society. You have been listening to The Unforgotten, and this is Willow Jones, signing off.